SEC play, going to Arkansas, and early season Arkansas is always fun, isn't it?
It'll be great. Great fans. Just getting back in our league. This is what we all love to do, and it's an exciting time of the year. So, especially when more than half of your team's new, this will be the first time for them to be our first true road series where we're staying in a hotel with this team, with the Southern Cal switcheroo there a few weeks ago. So, getting off to a good start, playing in a competitive environment, cold temperatures, all of it that you try to prepare a team for. It'll be good to see how we hold up. This team finished our season last year in Omaha, so it'll be good to hook back up with them and compete. It looks like another good club, 14, 15-2 or something like that. So, in the video that I've watched, it looks like the same competitive. Great arms, a lot of left-handed at bats. Beaufort, I'm trying to figure out, what's our pitch strategy to get that joker out. But just up and down the lineup, you continue to see athleticism, left-handed power, a couple of switches, and it looks like another typical Dave Van Horn Arkansas ball club.
For you guys, how you thought about that far ahead about how you want to work pitching, all those things?
Yeah, at least how to get started. I think we did a good job. Last night was crazy with the Georgia Tech game. Extra innings, of course, coming off of 9 games in 11 days, but feel pretty reset and have a plan, and don't feel like we overused anybody in last night's game, as crazy as that sounds, to not have them ready for the weekend. So in a weird way, that worked out pretty good. I thought Rock handled our pitchers well. We did an opener because we're trying to move Vail from the midweek to the weekend. So Tommy Vail will be our starter on Friday. We've been working toward that for over a week. Didn't want him to go a week and a half without throwing since it's an early part of the season. So he just opened last night. He'll get the start Friday. Excited to watch him in that environment. I think our players, our team is excited for that. Crotchfeld will sit there on the Saturday. We've been trying to be very consistent and routine oriented with the freshmen that we're committed to the long haul with. We think he'll keep getting better and better and better, and picking up, some steps and depth of getting better and better. But we think he'll compete great, and so he'll get that start, and then we'll stay TBA. So we'll have to announce stuff now that we're at conference. So Georgia will have to send stuff out. What our intentions are, and those are our best intentions right now. I think there's a Thursday bullpen, which is tomorrow, with Joseph Gonzalez. We would love to have Joseph back, but we feel like we have one more check. We have to check one more box of having a successful bullpen tomorrow. He logically could be a starter to not try to do too much gamesmanship. And if Joseph is not 100% and ready to go, then we'll keep that TBA and see how the first 2 games go to see who's left remaining in the best option for Game 3.
Yeah, best case scenario even for Joseph, 2 or 3 innings probably.
Yeah, that's what I thought opening day, but he got 5 innings on 42 pitches. So this bullpen and just really sitting down with Joseph, how do you feel? And just, he's been in our program a couple of years. I think we have a good feel for Joseph. So seeing how he reacts and responds. And this once he gets out there and throw it, we will take it 1 inning at a time, and we'll just keep seeing how much traffic, how easy the innings are, how efficient he is, and just kind of gauge it. Like I said, I think we have a good feel of his personality, a good line of communication, and then once you get out there, if he is able to go, I do think we'll take it 1 inning at a time and see how much stress he's pitching under, or how good he's laying tracks, because he hadn't thrown since opening weekend.
On your rewatch last night after the game, do you see anything the second time around that you didn't see?
I thought a great question was asked last night, and some of that is how you build a new pitching staff, and we have went far contact, and we are getting hard contact, and we got to keep going from maybe what I would call pattern 1 maybe to getting some pattern 2 stuff. Indiana, Southern Cal, Georgia Tech, etc. have told us, that their bats are on time and kind of feel like you give your plate away from time to time. So we've got to start taking the next step as we enter SEC play. We're fully aware we have to get to some pattern 2 stuff, probably meaning instead of the plate being divided in half, maybe we got to get to some thirds. We got to start shooting for the pin a little bit more. But you're easing into that depending on the pitcher and stuff, because you don't want it to turn into, like last night we talked about only walking one guy. You don't want that to turn into more walks. But honestly, from watching the game last night, to your point, we've got to get pretty quick to a place to where we're trying to shoot for the pin and creating a little more quality of pitch and texturing. So hopefully that's the next step, and you gradually work into that. So I think that's where we're at as a pitching staff right now with certain guys, and hopefully we can make that adjustment. And that's catcher setups, that's pitcher's mentality, but at the same time you got to start and allow the ball to travel out of your hand, working toward where a hitter will engage. But I still like the development road that we're traveling better than working from the outside of the strike zone in. That's when it's even worse, So I like what we're doing now. We're just going from maybe the point of the plate and working to hopefully some more successful quadrants and not starting to pitch off the plate. We've seen good offenses. We've been prepared, or we have seen good offenses that can swing the bat, as referenced by last night. So we're always looking for minor adjustments, and even in our scouting report, we're trying to change some of that for this weekend, and what these first 4 weeks have told us to maybe give our guys a simpler plan. A lot of times you think this thing gets more complicated. I think the best create a game where it becomes more simple. So we just got to get down to, hey, look at all this here. With all the technology we have now, we can absolutely see where to avoid and where to attack, and make sure we're pointing those out, and maybe just working to try to take the sting out of the swing, but find the attack zone for each hitter, because they're all different. Cluing that in and then trying to figure out how to start taking the sting out of swings is kind of where we find ourselves today.
Talking about how to make a travel roster and take some guys with you on the road, do you have some updates on some of the longer term injuries from like Bobby Pearson, Cooper McMurray, and some of the shorter term stuff with Cole Foster or Chris Stanfield?
Yeah, we think Stanfield's okay, and we think that was kind of preventative. Maybe a way to communicate if somebody's banged up is something we're doing. Again, over half these guys are new, so we need to lay down some tracks and add one more thing to our playbook there of how we operate. But I think Stanfield's probably a go. Bobby's the hamstring. I would say iffy. I hate that word, but I'm going to use iffy this weekend, but he's not ruled out for this weekend. The hamstrings are so temperamental, and we are, we say we don't do cold, but we're about to walk into a cooler environment when, I just always ask the question, why do basketball guys not have the hamstrings and stuff? And, they just go, and they jump. And I don't think it's us not knowing how to train our guys, but you can be sitting in an outfield and not do anything for 25 minutes, and then you got to go from 0 to 100. That's what's different about it. So I would say he's iffy. McMurray's still a couple more weeks. We're still getting discoloration out of there. He is doing some waving of the bat, but there's still a process of that weight on that foot and transitioning and changing directions and stuff like that. It's amazing how long that high ankle sprain stuff can be, but we still think he's a couple of weeks out before we can start talking about Cooper McMurray. We're hopeful for Cole Foster, so I would say Stanfield's at the top of the list of being able to come back. Maybe Foster would be second, but he did it on a ground ball, like running in. So we've passed the hitting test, full swings and stuff like that, and he'll be back on the field. We'll be trying to practice tomorrow. So if he passes the fielding test, we think Cole's good to go. Stanfield, Foster, hopeful, iffy with Bobby. I'm hoping Joseph can go, even if it is reduced innings or whatever that is going to look like that we decide. but we sure don't want to make a misstep to where you try to rush somebody back and it's costing you more time. That'll put more stress on the team moving forward. So we're trying to make great decisions, even though it's SEC play. This is still a marathon, not a sprint, is how we're trying to look at it. Did I leave somebody out?
I think it's everybody.
And that's, I feel like we've been trying to hold to the vest until we get more information. I think that's about where we're at today, and expectations for each of those guys.
Talking about trying to get going in SEC play, does all of Arkansas's injuries in the staff make it easier or harder to make it a hitting plan? You have guys that theoretically maybe aren't their top options, but you may have less information on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw a couple. I saw, I think it was Gage Wood throw. Adcock's been there, and I'm still seeing 93, 95. I don't feel sorry for Arkansas. And I think every coach in the SEC, because there was a preseason thing, I think every head coach in the SEC, if they're playing us at home, they're hoping to sweep us. And I think if they're coming to our place and playing, they're thinking 2 out of 3. They kind of set us up. They vote us that way, and that's what they think of our personnel. We don't have any preseason. I don't think we had any preseason SEC guys that were going to be an all SEC ball player. So no coaching staff in our league thinks we have any all SEC baseball players. So I'll continue to do that. It served us well, of a good chip on the shoulder, and everybody's expecting to get after us. But the honest answer to the question, with the couple pieces they really fill in nicely. They have a good complement of fastball, sliders, a couple lefties that are really tough to deal with. The crossfire, tough left-handed at bats. The technology tells us that. Watching it on video, you can see that. So I believe this is a typical good depth, still really good in shape Arkansas lineup and pitching staff that has done well and is probably sitting about 15-2 right now. So, but at the same time, I love playing in Fayetteville. I love competing with those guys. Dave Van Horn does it the right way. Plays for keeps. His team always, I don't know if that's always the case, that's the adage, they take on the personality of the coach, but Arkansas does. I mean, you can see it plain as day. They get after it. So that'll be good. We're going to get after it, and our expectation, we're in the job of trying to win series. So the earlier, if you could grab one early in the weekend, then you can start pointing toward that. But that's absolutely our expectation going over there and playing well.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Butch.